Okay, today I'm asking you to add in one more item to this list about important things to know when you're writing an author's craft essay. The last thing is to write a strong conclusion. So on Tuesday, we talked about writing an introduction that summarizes the story, explains the essay's relevance, and states the claim. Now, we're sort of making these bookends. The introduction is the first thing you do, and the conclusion is the last thing you do in an essay. So write a strong conclusion. And if you look teeny tiny, in the bottom, in parentheses, it says 12/20 notes, December 20th notes. Your notes from December 20th show how to write a strong conclusion. So if you flip back in your notebook, you have some notes in there about writing a conclusion, about concluding your essay already. And therefore, I'm not going to go back over these now, but I do want you to kind of point yourself in that direction a little bit when it comes time for you to write your conclusion. This is where you take the time to think about, so what? What does it really matter? And maybe think about avoiding using the language in conclusion. Maybe figuring out, bless you, that's going on Google, figuring out a strong way of saying that your essay is done without writing the end. So your essay should feel like it's done. A sentence that feels like the end without writing in the words the end. You don't have to write this down, guys, because you already have it in your notebook from December 20th. And if you don't, you can take a moment to pause, go back, watch this video, pause it, maybe write all of this stuff down. I wanted to bring up the notes from the past to just let you know that this stuff that you're learning about writing an essay, it doesn't go away, right? The way that you write a conclusion, it's not going to be the same every single time, but the basics stay true. The basics stay the same. In my Christmas Carol essay, this is how my conclusion looked. Actually, this was the example I gave you when you wrote your Christmas Carol conclusion. Mine happens to be about All Summer in a Day. And I won't reread it for you now, but I do want to show you the overall shape of it. The conclusion starts up here. Doesn't matter what I write for now. I just want you to see that I started by restating the thesis. And then the next big chunk was summarizing my main points, reminding the readers about all of the strong arguments that I made to support my claim. And then the last thing was a final provocative thought. Provocative meaning thought-provoking. It makes the reader think more deeply. That's the challenge. I can't teach you how to write a provocative thought. There's not a pattern. There's not a formula of words that go in a certain order that I can teach you. So it's up to you to think deeply and lead your reader with a provoking thought to end your essay that makes it feel like it's done without saying the words the end. So I want to show you how I did that in my essay. These are the three parts of your conclusion: restating the thesis, summarizing the main points, and a final provocative thought. So here's my essay. Flip to the second page of my wild essay. And you'll see just how I did this in my example essay, so then you can maybe imitate it. Of course, your conclusion is the last paragraph. In her memoir, Wild, Cheryl Strayed uses craft moves like inner thinking, description, and symbolism to show readers how she went from lost to found on the Pacific Crest Trail. So there's step one. It's your claim, or the other word for that is thesis. In new words. You should have a copy of this. If you don't, I'll grab you another one later. So the first thing I do is rewrite in new words the claim or the thesis. Where is the claim or the thesis? It's the last sentence of the intro paragraph right here. So I'm rewriting it in different words. Oops. Notice how I used a lot of similar language that I've already used before. Like I'm using the language craft moves, and then I'm naming each of those craft moves. These craft moves appear in the same order that they appeared in the body paragraphs. So this inner thinking is body paragraph 1, description is body paragraph 2, symbolism is body paragraph 3. It's all about the order, and the order has to stay the same every time. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step is to summarize the main points, to repeat, essentially, why my strong argument makes sense. Her Lonely Journey calls for a lot of inner thinking, where readers learn about how her silent time to herself encourages her to think more deeply about her environment. Okay, as I'm rereading that, I'm thinking this is a little awkward. I'm going to think about revising that now that I'm rereading it. It just sounds too wordy. It's not crystal clear. But the idea is all about inner thinking, and that is body paragraph 1. So the first thing I do when I summarize my main points is summarize body paragraph 1. It's about inner thinking, how that silent time to herself helps her think more deeply, and thinking more deeply helps her change. Then, her descriptions of her surroundings, so there's the other craft move, and the symbols in the story. So look, in the next sentence, I've included a summary of body paragraph 2 and body paragraph 3. Description is body paragraph 3, description is body paragraph 2, symbols is body paragraph 3. And I smooshed them, that's a technical writing term. I smooshed them into one summary sentence. Inner thinking is body paragraph 1. Her descriptions of her surroundings and the symbols in the story show readers how far she has come and how much she has changed. Okay, so that middle part of my conclusion, it's a pretty quick summary of the 3 body paragraphs in the same order that I had them in my claim. Here's 1, 2, 3, body paragraph 1, 2, 3. Do you see how those follow in the same order? The order matters. The very last thing you do in your concluding paragraph is this provocative thought. Provocative meaning thought-provoking. This might remind you of the universal human connection idea that we talked about from your intro. So, if I flip back to my universal human connection, where'd it go? There it is. Remember I revised to add in this universal human connecting idea? No matter the hardships people face, they can still learn how to grow over time. So I have these major component pieces. Challenge equals growth. Or with challenges, you have an opportunity to learn more things. And that's kind of the thought-provoking idea that I want to conclude with. So here's how I did it. Despite the struggles and the challenges of the trail, Strayed not only finishes her trek, but also finds a new identity along the way. I've included the theme of the book. I've taken that universal human connection. And I've merged it with my book. I'm showing how this universal human connection plays with my story. I did not write the end. Okay, I am right now just to show you that I'm crossing it out because you don't write the end at your conclusion. Ever, 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 never, ever, ever. Maybe if you become a children's book author and illustrator, you can write the end. But if in an academic essay, no way, Jose. So, quick recap. The conclusion starts with a claim or thesis in new words, summarizes really quickly the 3 body paragraphs, ends with a provocative idea, a provocative thought, a provocative final thought, the last thought, maybe related to that universal human connection, maybe related to theme. Today, I'll encourage you guys to go off and write your conclusion paragraph while it's fresh in your mind, but here's the trick about essay writing. You don't always have to write them in order. Like when I wrote this essay, Finding a New Self, I didn't start by writing the title and then writing the intro and then writing body paragraph 1. I started by writing the body paragraphs so I could illustrate my claim. I really started by knowing what my claim would be, I guess. I knew what I wanted my claim to be, and then I wrote the essay parts, the big body parts of the essay. The last thing I did was write the intro, and the very last thing I did was write the conclusion. And when I was in college, that's how I wrote essays all the time. You don't have to start at the intro just because it's the first words on the paper. You can go back and add them in later. So I'll encourage you to do that first today. Finish your body paragraphs if you haven't yet, and then go in and start doing the conclusion. You have a bunch of time to write today. I want to see you really working hard, and off you go.